I'm David Beckham. I am excited to be here today to tell you about EVOTO editing and how I'm using it. It's absolutely amazing. I have I have seen some huge products come through in the last 5 years, 8 years. The mirrorless with the eye focus, that's incredible. The high speed sync, total game changer. This is right up there with them. EVOTO is going to save me thousands of dollars this year because I won't have to outsource my editing or hire someone to come in and do the editing for me. And it can edit exactly the way I want it. EVOTO has come up with some amazing new things for their editing process. We can now leave freckles on their face. We can now get rid of stray hairs. There's new makeup and other editing things that we can do. There's ways to brighten eyes. You can add catch lights if for some reason you didn't get a catch light in their eyes. So there's all these new things that I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you my process. My process starts with shooting with the Sony a7 IV. I use off-camera flash so the photos look almost like they're going to look when I take them. So the client can look at the back of the camera and go, wow, that looks fabulous. Okay, that's the way I start. Then I take the raw files, pull them up in Lightroom. I make minor adjustments like if it's a little too bright or a little too dark or a shadow I want to bring out, those kind of things. And then I batch do that to all the photos that I shot. Then I take those photos, save them as a high-res JPEG. Then I call them, and I call them down to the number of photos that I want to use in their package. So if it's a simple client, I'm picking 8 photos. If it's a fancy client, I'm picking 60 photos. But now with EVOTO, and now that it doesn't cost me any more to edit 80 photos as it does 30 photos, I can choose more photos for them to have. They get more photos to look at to decide what they want and hopefully spend more. So once they sit down and pick, they get to pick way more photos because it's not going to cost me 1 penny more if they pick some extras. So that's a bonus for me as well. And then I bring them up, and this is how I do it. So I'm going to start with Becca. So on the screen right now is Becca. This is from one of her shoots. We're going to zoom in on her face. You can see she's a beautiful senior this year, but there's some things on this photo I want to fix. So I'm going to show you the steps that I do. The first thing I do when I start editing is I start in the normal edit mode. I think it's called color adjustments on here. Now, my color's already right, everything's already set, but I am going to do a couple of things. I'm going to go over to detail. I'm going to sharpen it just a touch more. I like the way this sharpens it. I slide my clarity too in here. Now, if there's other editing you can do in here with the exposure and stuff, and sometimes I'll do an individual photo that way, but my goal is to get them all right before I pull them up in here so I can let the batch process do the magic that it does. Okay, so I'll start with that. Then I'm going to go to the portrait retouching page. I always start with girls, I start with natural 2. With boys, I start with natural 1. So when we look at this up close, before, after, using natural 1, but I want more than that, okay? So she doesn't have freckles to begin with, so I'm going to leave that the same, but let's not. Let's pull the freckles back. So I'm going to slide the freckles all the way to 0 because she doesn't have any, so it doesn't matter either way. Then I'm going to look at other things like face shine. Let's get rid of face shine. She doesn't really have any on here, but there are some photos that might, so let's just get rid of face shine. Let's do forehead wrinkles. We'll leave eye wrinkles alone. Dark circles, we can adjust that. The smile line looks good. Let's get rid of neck wrinkles. We don't need any neck wrinkles in David Beckham Photography's photos. What else? Let's look at skin retouching. Nothing's wrong with adding a touch of tan. Every white girl I work with thinks they're too pale, so we want to add a touch of tan if we want. So we can easily do that. I like the settings I do. I always cut it down so it's not too much. And it does just adjust her skin. It doesn't adjust anything else. Let's see what else. And this is my goal with every senior client that I photograph, that they get to see themselves the way that people that love them see them. When you see them, you don't see blemishes and hair out of place and things like that. You see this perfect person. When they look in the mirror, they see all their flaws. What I want to do is give them that same feeling that the people that love them see them. So when they see themselves, they go, huh, I wish I looked this great every day. And they do to everybody they know, just not to them. So this is the way I do it. So if I'm doing something crazy like making their lips bigger or drawing their cheekbones in or doing something like that, now I'm telling her she doesn't look as good as the way God created her. She's needed help. And I don't want to give that help. So all I'm doing is taking care of the blemishes, taking care of the things, so you're going to see them just the way they are. Let's keep moving. We'll get out of the facial changes. Let's look at teeth. Her teeth are pretty good, but we can easily whiten them just by sliding them. Okay, let's look at eyes. The brightness, we can pop it a little bit to get a little more color to show. We can remove the veins even though she doesn't have any. It just kind of cleans them up. Now this has the catch lights, and I'm going to show you it just because it's here. We can add a catch light if we want. So you can see it there. I'm going to take it off because we don't need it. I shoot with off-camera flash 99% of the time. I'm using added flash. So we're going to get the light with catch lights. Let's go to makeup. We don't need to do anything to makeup because she's got her makeup done the way she wanted, but we'll get into that with the fashion stuff we do in a little bit. Body reshaping, not going to hair. Okay, this is the one you've been waiting to see. It'll fill hair gaps, and I get that, and that's all great. It'll change your hairline, and I get that. I'm working with seniors. I don't need to worry about that. But it will remove stray hairs. So if I kick it, I'm going to slide it over to about 70%. Before, after. Look how natural that looks. It still leaves some. Let's go back a little bit. It still leaves some in there so that it looks like real hair that day. It doesn't look like some helmet cutoff. So I'm going to set that at about 60%. Now you can set it so it does it inside their face, outside their face. I'm going to leave that at both. I'm not going to mess with any body reshaping. I am going to take this and I'm going to slide this over to 41 photos. I'm going to hit sync. So now what it's going to do is take those changes I just made and then add it to 41 people. Now some of those changes I may want to touch up, but I want you to see how it works. This is going to take a few minutes. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I do seniors in high school. That's my primary focus. I do fashion portfolio stuff. Columbus, Ohio. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I've been in business in this studio full-time for 15 years. Columbus, Ohio is a big fashion area because of the limited brands are located here. There's a lot of local designers, which means there's a lot of models. So I do a lot of portfolio stuff to help them get into modeling or to upgrade their portfolios as well. I shoot pageant people, I shoot exec headshots and things like that. I do families sometimes as well. So I'm going to show you that. I'm starting to get into a little bit of volume shooting, and I'm going to show you some really good game-changing options this gives us for the volume stuff too later on. If you want to follow me on David Beckham Photography on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I teach all over the country this year. I'm going to be at Imaging again for the 3rd year in a row. I'm going to be at Sync for the 4th time. I'm going to be at Shutterfest for the 9th time, teaching at Shutterfest. I'm very excited to be at all those places. I'm sure I'll do some state things as well. I teach workshops out of my studio. I hope you can catch up with me sometime on all of them. Okay, now what we're going to do is take a look at some of the edits that we did. I have some more photos of Becca. Here's one. This is Becca after it's been edited. This was before, after, before, after. I love this next one. Before, after, before, after. Look at the circles under her eyes. Look at the catch light, not the catch lights, but the brightness in her eyes. Now, this one, she didn't do much makeup. If I want to go back to doing makeup, let's go to lashes. These are the coolest. They've got a whole bunch of different settings. I can click these, and then the lash will just appear, and it looks so real. So if I want to add a lot, Becca's not a crazy makeup girl, so I don't want to go too far, but let's go a little farther than, there we go. Let's go with this. I'm going to add this to her other photos. I'm going to hit sync. So now when we look at this next photo, that's before. This one was shot the same day as that close-up I just showed you. That's after. Lashes look perfect. Look real. Here's another one. They look real. Gets rid of some of the crazy hairs, gets rid of the necklines. Let's move to the next person. This is Gia. Before, after. Before, after. Now she's got a little bit darker circles under her eyes. So let's go to the top of this and move that further to the right for her so we can pull those out. She's got some smile lines here. Let's see if we can clean those up a touch. She does her own makeup and she's pretty crazy with it, so I'm not going to mess with that. I love the way her eyes look. I love the way her teeth look. I'm going to do this to her other photos. I'm going to sync those. Then we'll look at the other ones. This is before, after, before, after. The circles, it'll get rid of. Her eyes, look at the red in her eye on her left eye. Her teeth get brighter. The wild hairs disappear. Here's another one. This one's fun. So it still looks like her. We're not manipulating her and changing her into someone else. We're just cleaning it up a little bit. One more. This one's just makeup. This one's already been run with all the settings that we did originally. This is before. This is after. Those freckles are amazing. They're a part of her, and now they're gone. The dark circles under her eyes are gone. Her eyes are brighter and cleaner. Her teeth are brighter. Everything about it is still her, and it looks like her. Now, if I want to, and I've got the freckles all the way off, good. I'm going to pull the acne back on her, pull this back on her because she doesn't have much, and now it's going to make her skin even more natural than it was. She always does great makeup, so we don't need to worry about that. I'm going to go through and click all of her photos and sync. So her face, her skin, her tan, all of that matches because it's all matches because we told it to match. Her hair looks fantastic, the outfit, the location. She loves this photo. Let's move to the next one. Here we are in the flowers. Let's go before, after. Everything looks almost the same. The things that it's fixing are some stray hairs. Let's zoom in on it. Gets rid of some of those curls, doesn't get rid of all of them. It's natural. That's what we want. We want it to look and continue to look natural. Before, after, just cleans up a little bit, leaves her freckles, gets rid of some crazy hairs, makes it all look nice. This one, let's look at the before and after. The way the lighting was, the freckles weren't showing because it wasn't summer. This was late fall. So this is a before. It's not like we lost the freckles. It's just that they didn't show so much. So when we do before, you can barely see them. When you do after, you can still barely see them because that's the way they were that day. But look at her eyes, look at her lips. The blemishes are all gone. She looks fantastic. Let's go to London. London's skin is just about perfect. So when we do a before, all we're going to see is some shadows under her eyes move, and then we're going to crispen things up a little bit with her eyes, bring the sparkle out in her eyes a little bit, and her skin color gets a little bit more defined. This photo is so fun. Look how perfect. Everything looks, you can't, with everything going on, all you can see is her face, and her face looks perfect. Here's another one we did the same day. Before, after. Here's Alexa. After, before, after, before. Pay attention to her neckline. She looks fantastic. How fun is this? You can't tell from this far away, so we'll click the zoom in to see. First time I shared a set of photos using this editing thing, they were stunned. They loved it. They told me, I love the edits on these. I love the edits on these. I didn't tell them I did any changes. They came back to me and said how much they loved them. So even though it's a little more, it might look a little more than completely natural, it's something they love right now. And that's what we need. We want them to be happy because when they share their photos, other people see them. That market's for me. If they don't like the photo or they don't like the edit, they're not going to share them. So this really helps with that as well. Let's move on to Terrace. After, before. Before, after. You can see the shadows changing. We get rid of some of the fine lines. It brightens her eyes. There's some cool ones in here that I want to show you. How fun is this? Let's do the whole photo. Before, after, before, after, before, after. Now, her eyes aren't looking straight at us. Let's see what happens if we put some crazy lashes on. It knows her eyes aren't looking straight at us, and it puts the crazy lashes on as if she did have them. That's how amazing. Before, after, before, after. Cleans up her skin, cleans up her eyes, brightens her, defines the color, gets rid of the crazies. I did nothing to this except those first edits that I did with Becca and copied it to her. I skipped over one. Let's go back to it. Here's the one that makes Terrace look like she's 15 years old because she's 15 years old. Because of those braces. Now, if I want to, when I go down to teeth, where I can click pretty teeth, and it will take her braces off. If I tone down the whitening, it looks natural, it looks real. Now, if girls have bad teeth that they're not spaced right and they're uncomfortable with it, you can fix it for them. But to let them see themselves what they're going to look like when their braces are off, it's pretty. that's after, before. Okay, let's move on to Maeve. After, before. Look at the necklines, look at the blemishes, look at the crazy hair, look at the perfection. This is how people that love her see her. And when she can see photos of herself that look like this, it's going to reinforce how gorgeous she is. And so we take a shot like this, turn it into this with one click. We did it already. This is already done for me. She has some freckles on her forehead. They stay. Look at the hair. Look at the crazy hair gone. Look at her skin. Just shot this one the other day. Her hair's a different color. Okay, next up, what about guys? If you look at the top on Madison, it says up here female. I'm going to switch to him and it says male. It changed it differently because it knew it was a male. So it edited based on that. Now, when we zoom into his face and look at the before, you can see all the blemishes and the marks and how he looked after. It's too simple. Okay, after I'm done with all these, I hit export. It exports them to a folder within the folder these were taken from. And it says EVOTO on the photo, and inside are all the edits. So you kept the originals the way they were. You get your edits separately. I have a process that I use in Photoshop. I pull them up in Photoshop, and then if there's something I need to get out of the background, like a garbage can, or I want to crop it a little different, or I want to generate something on it to change the photo, I do that then, and then I made an action called EVOTO Save, and what I do is it does an extra sharpen to it, and then it saves it in another folder. I mean, it saves the original one as the finished product, and then it makes a smaller copy of it and saves it in a different folder that I can share on social media. So some photos, it's just one click, 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 click. Some photos, I'm fixing some background stuff and putting it together. Okay, let's get out of this. Let's look at some fashion-oriented stuff. Starting close. This is Kenzie. She's one of my all-time favorite models. We're going to go with high-end and start with a thing called high-end. It's a preset. So it actually brightened her skin, which most girls freak out about. But everything else it did was amazing. So we love the amazing. So if we go to radiance, it's a new one. We take that radiance down. It'll let their skin be closer to what we had. If we use the tan button, that will make it back closer to what we have. Now we can make it super tan, or we can just make it a little bit tan. So now we've got her skin about the same color without all the blemishes, and we love this look. I also like to go into this and hit the clarity a little bit, go into detail and hit the sharpen. So we can move back and forth between those two. And it's going to do both of those for us. Now let's look at the other things that we can use. We changed the skin, we changed that. Let's look at lips. If we want to change their lips, let's make her lower lip bigger. It's going to be subtle. It's just a subtle, it looks real. We have our eyes looking great. Let's go into them just to make sure we're doing even better. Let's kick that brightness up. Let's go through the remove red veins. If there's an individual photo I want to add catch lights to, I will. Now in this photo, she's got her own lashes, so we don't really need them. But on a couple other ones, she doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and add some lashes to this one as well. Let's go with this. Oh, too big. It's still country. We got to keep it country. Right there. If I want to do things like lipstick, we can change that with a click too. We can do contours in their faces. We can change that just by slider bars. I usually leave all that alone because my makeup artist does a really good job and the girls can take care of themselves. The last thing we have to do is go in and do the hair. Let's remove stray hair. Let's kick that way up so we can get rid of all of that as well. Good, huh? So let's just click all of these people with these changes. Is that what I want to do? I'm shooting portfolio work. They're going to want a bunch of digitals. So if I'm just giving them low res digitals, so small that they couldn't print them if they want. So I charge a flat rate for them, and then I charge a fee by the digitals. The flat rate is an hourly rate I charge, and then how many photos they want, I let them look through them, we pick them out, and then they get, 50 photos is X amount, and 100 photos is X amount, however many they want. But they'll all be done in a way that takes me seconds, and they can get them more. I used to be much more defined, so I would say you get 16 photos or 8 photos per hour of photography. So now they have to be real critical on which ones they pick. Now they get them all because they can. And if I keep them happy, they'll come back to me more. So if these model shoots work so quickly because they're people that love to be photographed, they have a good idea of what they want. In 2 hours of shooting and then another hour of editing, I can make $500. I'm going to do it. So this works out really great. Let's look at the second one. Killer, huh? Look at her face up close. The crazy hairs, the makeup, the lashes, the look. If I want to come in and change just one thing on this one, like her lips, lipstick. We could darken her lips a little bit and put some contacts in. Make her eyes look greener. She's got green eyes as it is. We can slide that back and forth to make her look like an alien if we want. This is Allie. The settings that I use to begin with are perfect for this. You can see the crazy hairs gone from her hat. Simple. Oops, let's go back. Looks natural. This one's fabulous. The tan, the skin complexion across her body's all even now because that's one of the settings that's in that preset. It still leaves some of the hairs, so it still looks natural, but look at all those. How long would it have taken you to get rid of all that? Yet, and then look at her eyes. Perfect. Now there's a lump on top. I'll have to go in and fix that separate. So when I pull them up for the last time, I can fix that lump. But everything else, there's nothing I have to do. How gorgeous, right? Let's go into her face. Now, here's one of them that we need to catch lights, because I was using a giant umbrella that was above her, and with her lashes, we can't see them. So we'll put the catch lights in. Let's go in even tighter. There. And we can adjust the brightness in that to whatever we want. So we're just going to add a low light in there so now we can see it. But when you look at before, after, when we see this whole photo, it's just absolutely stunning. Before, after. Let's take a look at Rage. Before, after. Okay, so let's zoom in on her. We've got a freckle change. Let's go up to the top. The freckles are still there 100%. So let's bring her freckles back. Now you can see them. So for everything with her, since she has freckles, we'll sync. So after, before, after, before. Now when we look in on her face, you can still see the freckles, but they're not there strong. So let's pull back on this because she doesn't have a lot of acne or blemishes. We can make some minor adjustments to bring some of that back. And if that doesn't work, face decorations, we can put the freckles back in. Or if they don't have freckles and they want them, we can add them. And it can be simple and just a couple dots like that, or more, or a lot. So we can fill them back in if we lose them. So I like that. Let's look at that other one. Each photo is different when it comes to what you see when it edits it. So when you're going back through them, you still have to go back through them. But if we need to put some freckles in on that one, we can. Same thing here. We can see some of the freckles, but not all of them. So let's just plug them in. Now, it depends on how light they are on their face, whether it works or not, and they're working on it. That's a little too much. Let's go with this right there. Just enough to keep it blended on both sides. Beautiful. Studio shot we did. Let's find her face. Perfect. There we can see the freckles already, so we don't really have to do anything. Gets rid of all the strays. Show you a couple more with Kensley. Gets rid of the strays, cleans up her complexion. Now sometimes her left eye is open the same size, sometimes it isn't. And in this case it isn't. So go back to face, eyes, unlock, so it only does one eye at a time. We can open her right eye a little bit, and no one's ever going to know. Okay, one more set we're going to do. This is for the volume stuff I'm starting. Minimal amount of volume stuff. But even though it's a minimal amount, I don't want to spend any more time with it. Now here's what I do. For volume stuff, you want to get photos done, edited quickly so that they can see them quickly and make their order. Okay, so here's what I'm going to start with. We're going to pull this up. We're going to start with the background. I'm going to do the same thing I always do. Most of these are, when I'm doing these, they're all shot on the same location at the same time, so the lighting isn't that much different. Sometimes I have to change the lighting based on their skin color. We'll kick that up. We'll kick the clarity up. Then we'll go to background. Now the background, you can see there's might be dust spots on it. So I go to clean up solid background, and that will get rid of the dust spots. Then I go to enhancement, and that'll just kind of, wherever it's lighter, it'll be a little lighter, and wherever it's darker, it'll be a little darker. So I did that to the background. Then what I do is come over here to presets. I don't even have to remember to do any of that stuff. I just go into Sports Studio preset. Before, wild hairs. After, no wild hairs. Before, a background that had blemishes. Now, no blemishes in the background. Before, skin needed retouching. Now, skin doesn't need retouching. Eyes are clean, teeth are clean, neckline's gone. Everything looks fabulous. Then I hit Shift, Sync, and it's going to go through and do this to all of them. It's going to go through and fix all those details. It's going to know if it's a guy or a girl. It's going to fix all of those. Now, the way I do this is they get to pick which photo they want, and then they can order stuff from it. Okay, so I use McKenna Labs. They're partnered with Got Photo and another one, I don't know which, but I think I'm going to be using the one with Got Photo so that I can take all of these photos, 10 different photos of each kid, do this quick edit for me at 7 cents a piece, put them online so they can order. So now they have to decide. So now they're going to say, I like this one and this one. Can I get a button of this one? Can I get a 5x7 of this one? Can I get wallets of this one? They're going to order more stuff because there's more options to order from. And every photo is going to look fabulous. No matter how bad of a day they were having at school, it's going to look better now. So it's pretty amazing. We'll pull up a couple of photos here in a second. Take a look at some of these. Perfect. Before, after. Different girl. Before, after. Subtle, but done. The skin, especially on the sports kids, they won't wear makeup so their skin will glare, or they'll just put some highlights or something on them so we'll get this glare that looks like sweat. And so I can handle that with just one of the slider bars. But this is the preset I use that I made, and you can make a preset out of any person you edit. So you can go through, and then we give them options. So now they have to decide between this one and this one and this one. More than likely, there'll be 6 or 7 to decide from, but they're already edited first. So they're not seeing the negative. They're only seeing the good when they decide. It's gonna change the way volume works too. And it doesn't matter what their skin tones are. Now for her, I might open her left eye more. If the other photos are consistently that way, I might just do that for all of them the first time through. It doesn't matter if it's a dude or a girl. It's going to edit them a little bit differently, but you'll be able to see after, before, and then she's got this photo and this photo. So if they did get ready and do their own makeup, they look great. If they didn't do anything, they just showed up, they look great. Keeps their freckles. Skin looks awesome. That's what we need. That's what the industry needs. This is a total game changer. I hate to use that word, but this one is. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for watching it all the way through. And I think they've got some great specials going on right now too. So check them out, EVOTO. Thank you.